Okay, starting over. Welcome to the Funding Solutions Study Group for Private Pay Care. The reason why this study group is so important is because the number one question that seniors and their families have, no matter where you are in the country, is how are we going to afford all of this, right? And we may think that somebody that even has $2 million, right? But if they need 24/7 care, they dwindle through that amount of money in a short amount of time, right? So the issue of paying for care is an extremely hot topic. And this is something that my dear friend Chris Orestis and I have been discussing for many years. And so Chris is the president of Retirement Genius. He is nationally recognized financial health and long-term care and retirement issues expert. He has over 25 years experience in the insurance and long-term care industries and is known as a political insider and senior issues advocate. Chris is a former Washington, D.C. lobbyist who has worked in the White House and for the Senate Majority Leader on Capitol Hill. One of the most quoted experts in the insurance and financial services industry, he has appeared in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, CNBC, AARP Magazine, USA Today, NBC News, Fox News, and numerous other media outlets, including being a guest speaker on over 100 radio programs and TV appearances. The reason why it's important for you guys to understand this is that this study group is going to be facilitated and co-hosted between the two of us by somebody who is truly an expert, not somebody who is just starting to dabble in the senior care industry. He's been in this industry for a very long time. So without further ado, Chris, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Well, Sarah, thank you very much. And you can see my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Well, welcome to this study group. And Sarah, thank you so much for hosting and inviting me to co-host with you. I think this topic is so important. And as you pointed out in your introduction, the ability to pay for care is where the rubber meets the road. You can have all the best intentions, all the best systems, a great CRM, a great brochure. You can have every trick in the book, but when it boils down to how do people pay for care, if you can't help somebody cross that bridge, it's all for nothing. You've wasted your time, you've wasted their time, and assuming that the people you talk to are just coming back with a checkbook and going to start stroking checks every month, that is not a sustainable business model. It's not a strategy for growth and success. You need to be a solution provider. And what we want to do in this monthly study group, we'll be doing this every month, the first Wednesday of every month at this time. And we're going to spend 30 minutes, no more than, maybe sometimes a little less, who knows, depending on the topic. What we're going to be talking about is different ways that you can be using funding solutions in your practice. Also, just a broader overview as well of the difference between public pay, private pay, Medicare, Medicaid, into the various private pay funding solutions. So what I thought we'd do today is just start with a general overview of what we want to cover, where we want to go, what is the priority here. And then as we start moving forward from month to month, we'll start drilling down into all of these topics in more detail. We will always deliver to you after our session a recording of the webinar and a copy of the material that we present and go through. And we want to save some time at the end. If you have any questions, make sure you type them in, and we'll do our best to address them all. But this boils down to one simple fact, and I know this is something that must frustrate all of you. How often people are coming in to deal with the need for a loved one to receive some form of care. Their goal is to age in place. Everybody's goal is to age in place, but they really don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're working with, what they have, what they don't have, because this is a topic people avoid. Nobody wants to talk about long-term care. Nobody wants to deal with this. I mean, in the entire country, think about this. You've got 335 million people living in this country. There's only 7.5 million long-term care insurance policies. People are not preparing for this. There's just a general assumption that one, it's never going to happen to them. I'm never going to, my kids would never put me in a nursing home. This is never going to happen to me. And if it did, well, I paid into the system. I have insurance. Something covers it. Somehow this is covered. I'll be taken care of. And we all know that all of a sudden people walk in and they're in need for care and they get a real rude awakening to what is covered, what's not, how to pay for it, and how little they understand or they've prepared for this reality. Because the cost of care is expensive. The latest cost data, and this, by the way, no matter what's happening in the economy, every year these costs go up. I guarantee you, every year, somewhere between 3 and 6%, there's a rate, the cost of care increases. Home care, assisted living, skilled care. These are expensive propositions. Now, who's paying for care? Well, in this country, although it wasn't intended to be, Medicaid is the default payer of long-term care, and it's covering 35% of care being paid out for people in this country. Another 25% by Medicare, which is just for short-term rehab care, and that's just partial coverage. And then the rest is up to you and me, private pay, out of pocket. And a very small amount of that private pay, again, is long-term care insurance. People are digging in their pockets, providing care themselves. They go to you. They look at what it costs to pay for somebody to do the aging in place, and then everybody looks around at each other, the brothers and sisters, and go, well, it looks like we're going to be doing this because they can't afford it. But what they don't realize is they're missing out on a variety of ways that they could potentially help pay for it. And that's the stuff we want to focus on in the study group. And we're going to do a quick overview of on today's opening session of our study group. Funding care. Well, the cost is very impactful on families. It's underestimated. And what are the ways that people are paying for care? Well, it's divided into two buckets. You have public funded entitlements, and then you have private pay, out of pocket. On the entitlement side, you've got Medicare, you've got Medicaid. And let me just tell you all, I'm sure you're paying attention to what's happening in Washington, D.C., what's happening, the pressures on Medicare, Medicaid, even Social Security, worries about the solvency of those programs, Medicare and Social Security in particular, in another 10 years or less, the massive budget cuts to Medicaid, and that's going to be felt. That's going to trickle down. States are already trying to figure out how are they going to deal with the loss of $1 trillion in funding towards Medicaid. And some of that's going to come out of the money that's available to spend on care. I'll tell you this, today is the best day for the rest of our lives when it comes to Medicare and Medicaid. It doesn't get better from here. And I'm going to even say Social Security. It only gets worse. It only gets more challenging. The population is aging. There's more and more demand for the programs. People don't understand what they're getting themselves into. And the pushback on us as individuals is to take on individual responsibility. The government's expectation will be less on them, more on you and me. Private pay, long-term care insurance, programs that have riders, annuities with long-term care riders, life insurance policies with long-term care riders, and then self-insuring. What does self-insuring mean? It means paying out of pocket. It means digging into your assets, digging into your income, passing the hat around to the family, and paying the cost of care yourself. So let's just do a quick overview of what's covered. What are the primary forms of care and what's covered? And we're going to spend time as we go through our study group sessions, getting into these in more detail. But let's just start with the obvious. Home care, aging in place, is primarily private pay. Getting a Medicaid waiver to have Medicaid cover home care is not common. It's not easy. And for most people, if you're going to age in place, that's coming out of pocket. Assisted living, same thing. That's primarily private pay. You want to live in a beautiful assisted living community, and I can tell you, Over my career, having traveled and visited many, some of these are like Ritz-Carltons. I've been in some incredible ones I would move into today. Cocktail parties and barbecues and transportation to the mall and museums and entertainment. Uh, Medicaid's not paying for that. That's out of pocket. That's private pay. Memory care, private pay again. Nursing home care, skilled nursing home care, where the majority of people who go on to Medicaid will end up in a nursing home sharing a room with one or two other people. Nursing home, primarily Medicaid funded. Hospice and palliative care is primarily Medicare, and then short-term rehab, which upon discharge from a hospital, you will get partial Medicare coverage for up to 100 days. So as you look at this landscape, the majority of what people want and what you provide, that's private pay. So let's talk about some of the private pay options that we're going to cover over the coming months in our study group. We're going to look at extended care insurance. What's extended care insurance? Well, it's long-term care insurance. It's also short-term care insurance and home health care insurance. There are specific plans for each type. It isn't just one size fits all long-term care insurance, which is a much more age and underwriting intensive process. Short-term care insurance is much less intensive, and home health care insurance actually has some pretty high acceptance rates. These are programs that these types of policies, the underwriting, the parameters around these, we're going to delve into more in the upcoming study group sessions. Not only the kinds of policies that you need to get, but then the work you need to put into actually going on claim and getting your benefit. We're going to spend time talking about how to get the most out of extended care insurance and what's the right type for people based on their age, their health, and their goals for where they're going to go as they're aging and contending with their declining health. Let's also talk about life settlements, another very big area of funding for private pay in the United States. I mentioned that there's 7.5 million long-term care insurance policies in this country. There's 260 million life insurance policies in this country. And everybody with a life insurance policy owns an asset. That is an asset just like your home. And you can liquidate those policies if you no longer need them and you're going to get rid of them as you're aging and your health is declining, particularly the families that you're working with who need care. They are ideal candidates to use a life settlement where they would sell off an existing life insurance policy and then take those proceeds and be able to use them towards their care. We're going to drill down into that in more detail in an upcoming session. We're also going to talk about long-term care life settlements. That's an area that we actually pioneered over the last 2 decades. We brought into the market working directly with home care companies, assisted living companies such as yourselves, groups such as, and that's why we've worked with Sarah for so many years and known her for so many years, because we have developed a specialty in using the life settlement to point it towards extended care uses, aging in place, assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, any kind of care can be covered by an LTC life settlement using a life insurance policy people already own, and then through liquidating it at no cost to them whatsoever, and then no need for claims filing or wait periods, able to use that money to pay for their care. Annuities, another area that we're going to drill down to. Annuities are a vehicle issued by an insurance company that blends the features of both insurance and investment accounts, which provides a guaranteed lifetime income. And there are a variety of types of annuities, and in particular, there are annuities that focus on being able to amplify the amount of money that's in the annuity towards long-term care expenses. So we're going to spend some time making sure you're familiar with the use of annuities, a general overview of annuities, but then a focus on annuities specifically used to help people pay for extended care services. Reverse mortgages, another area that we're going to drill down into, the use of home equity without having to sell the home. Being able to take a reverse mortgage in the form of a lump sum, establishing a monthly income, setting up a line of credit to draw down on a monthly basis, and then use that towards aging in place. One of the defining characteristics of a reverse mortgage is that you need to be in the home. If you take out a reverse mortgage, you need to be living in the home as your primary residence. So it's an ideal vehicle to help people access liquidity from their home to stay at home. And when you have a reverse mortgage, you don't need to be making any monthly payments, unlike a bank loan, where once you have a loan, now you're making monthly payments back to the bank. With a reverse mortgage, you defer those payments until you leave the home, and then you satisfy the mortgage and any accrued fees and interest after you've left the home. And for a lot of people, they do that by selling the home or paying it off in a variety of ways. But it allows somebody to maximize their cash flow while aging in place, staying in their home. The VA aid and attendance benefit, millions of veterans across this country. We're going to drill down into this in more detail, how veterans can use the VA aid and attendance benefit specifically towards their care needs. And these are the current VA aid and attendance rates across a veteran and a spouse, just the surviving spouse, an ill spouse, but still a well veteran, or two married veterans together. These rates are not insignificant. This can make a big difference for a veteran towards their care needs. We're going to get into details on how this works, how to qualify, how you can be using this to help families find more resources to pay towards their goals of aging in place. A true freedom plan, an interesting option that's out there. We're going to drill into this in one of our sessions. It's a membership-based home care service contract that you prepay in the form of monthly payments, typically charged against a credit card, to set up a amount of hours for non-medical support and services that you can tap into when you need them. And they come in different packages. There's a platinum package, a gold package, a silver package, that basically you're buying prepaid non-medical home care support hours that you can then deploy when you need them. So an interesting option you all need to be aware of, and we're gonna drill down into more details on that on a future session. We'll also look at senior bridge loans, another interesting area where families can actually co-sign on a small loan against the home while the home is actually is in the process of being sold. Some people will use a senior bridge loan so that they can move into an assisted living community or a nursing home or a memory care unit. They got to get out of the house immediately because of the level of their care needs, but it may take 3 to 6 months to sell the house. So using the house for a short-term senior bridge loan co-signed by family members or collateralized against the house can give somebody immediate access to the exact amount they need paid out from the senior bridge loan originator to the care provider directly. And that person could make the move out of the home into a facility-based environment on an immediate basis, not waiting for the real estate market, the closing process, everything to unfold over X amount of weeks and months when care is needed today. So what we're going to dive into here, and I'm going to wrap this up in 2 minutes. Sarah, jump in here at the end, and then let's open up to any questions as well as requests. If people have requests of topics they'd like to hear, share them with us. We're going to ask every month, is there something out there you'd like to talk about, like us to talk about? We'll do some research, come back the next month with some information, build a topic around it. We want this to be a highly valuable, living, breathing study group for you, where we're dealing with the realities of what's happening with aging in America and the solutions that you can be using to help the families. And this is a key part of everything that Sarah has dealt with in the academy, that I emphasize with everybody I talk to. You don't want to be a salesperson just focused on selling your service. You want to bring the solutions to the table that makes you a solution provider. Again, it's not enough to sit down, meet with a family, hand them a brochure, and wait for them to come back with a checkbook. You want to have the solutions. The key to this whole thing, the key to opening the door for the families to walk through to aging in place is how do we pay for it? That's the one that everybody kind of tends to ignore, take for granted, hope that they don't have to deal with it. They don't have to talk about it. But the ones that do, the ones that take that on, that incorporate it into what they're doing, and they are solution providers, they are the ones differentiating themselves in the market. They are the ones whose businesses are growing and thriving because they're bringing the total solution to the table, not just the service. We've got an aging population, limited financial safety nets. Everything's getting pushed back on us. We know that people are underestimating the costs of long-term care. They don't understand the system. So our ability to help you use these alternative financial solutions, as well as understanding Medicare, Medicaid, the long-term care insurance across the board, all of this is going to put you in a position to thrive and make this a valuable study group for you and for us to be part of and co-hosting for you and with you. We want to make sure people have the options to remain private pay, stay in control, age in place, go if they have to move into a facility to move into where they want to be. That's the goal, not to be at the whim of the state, to be spent down, to go on to Medicaid. We're working to keep people private pay and making sure that they can stay in control and get the care in the location and the type that they want, that they deserve. And this is how we're all going to work together to help make that happen. Here's Retirement Genius contact information, Senior Care Sales Solutions contact information. Hang on to this. Email us, call us anytime. We're here to support you and work with you as part of this study group and on an ongoing basis. And with that, I say thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk about and cover this. Sarah, I'll pass it back to you for any concluding thoughts, and let's open it up to any questions if people have typed any in.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you for that overview. And everyone, just like Chris said, we will be diving deeper into all these topics. So the Alternative Funding Solutions panel has been a part of every single academy that we have done in 4 years. And there's a very specific reason for that, which is the funding question that everybody has. But our perspective at Senior Care Sales Solutions, this not only helps you help families uncover funds to be able to afford your services, this is a huge differentiator for you out in the field, out in your marketplace, right? So the number one objection that hospital case managers and social workers have is our patients can't afford your services. But if you are the one that shows up and says, you know, I can completely understand, right? The cost of care has continued to increase over the years. That's why we are different. We are an agency that focuses on providing solutions to help families be able to afford care, right? So what that translates into, your brochure goes on top. When they give a list to a discharging patient and family, right? Because that's how they're being told they have to refer based on their management. But if you are the agency that is a solutions provider, they will point to your agency and say, here's a list of resources, but this agency right here, they have funding options, okay? And the last thing I have to say about this, our opinions don't matter, right? There's a lot of myths around the home equity line of credit. There's myths around life settlements or opinions on whether somebody should do that or not, or leave their life, their life insurance to families. That's not our role. Our role is to educate the seniors in our society and their family members about the resources that exist so that way they can make informed decisions for themselves. And that is the point of this study group, is for all of us that are in the position to advise the seniors in this family. We need to get educated so we can educate them so they can properly take care of themselves. At this point, are there any questions? I see a comment, Chris. So, a question from Mr. Stephen Wright. VA aid in attendance. Does the never remarried rule apply to the surviving spouse?
Well, generally, yes, but there are exceptions, and they can vary state by state. Um, I quickly looked this up just to double check. It's and when I checked the VA aid and attendance rule on it, it says you generally must not have remarried after the veteran's death, but there are some extensions for remarriages after a surviving spouse if they remarried at or after the age of between 55 or 57. So based on reading that, if you're a surviving spouse and you remarried in beyond the age of say 55 to 57, it looks like there may be an exception there for you that you could still collect. Um, but I think they start with a uh, never remarried approach first, and then look at what exceptions may apply, and then how do you apply for that, and how do you verify that. It will add steps to the process, which, by the way, the VA aid and attendance process is a process that is significant and best tackled with professionals who do this on a regular basis, as opposed to trying to take it on yourself, which is a big part of why we're here, because Sarah has built a team of subject matter experts and resources. So if you have a VA aid and attendance situation, Sarah has the solution. You have a reverse mortgage situation, Sarah has the solution. You want to use life settlements, you can talk to us. You want to access things around insurance, annuities, another area that you can talk to us. Sarah has built the resource team in your toolbox to help you get the questions answered and then move forward and implement with a client.
100%. And I would really advocate for those of you in this study group right now. Something that Chris and the other professionals we work with have noticed over the last 4 years. This isn't just something for the owner to get educated on. It's not just something for your marketer to get educated on. It's really something where you need to make sure your overall agency, so including your schedulers, your client care coordinators, or if you have care managers, everybody needs to know, because you may bring a client on service and they're paying you, right? But you, unless you're going deep into the finances, which many people in home care do not, all of a sudden, the scheduling department is getting the phone calls where they're cutting shifts, or out of nowhere, they're ending services. So, number one, if that's happening, you need to be asking, do you mind me asking why, right? Why? Why are we cutting shifts? The schedulers need to know, because when they ask that question and your client says, well, we're running out of money, they need to be able to say, do you know what your funding options are? And that's the whole point, right, of the study group. You do not have to become an expert like Chris is in every single one of these funding options, but you need to be able to recognize when there's a need, ask them if they know, and then connect them to the experts. And then from a business development perspective, we hear this all the time on my team. Well, our market's saturated. My market's saturated. I'm here to tell you every market is saturated, okay? We cannot use that as an excuse anymore. So what you have to figure out is, how am I going to differentiate myself? How am I going to be more of an advisor and a solutions provider versus a slinger of home care hours? Because dropping candy and dropping donuts is not the answer anymore, right? We got a lot of people that need help. And so it's on us to get educated, right? Not only to help families, but to rise above all the competition in our markets.
Well, I can tell you that if you wanted to, partner with elder law attorneys, accountants, assisted living communities, geriatric care managers, if you come to the table ready to talk about this stuff, and again, you could put yourself at a level where just you could be conversant enough to deliver a PowerPoint presentation. You walk into an assisted living community and say you'd be happy to be a speaker at a family night where you're going to talk about funding solutions to help people with aging in place and assisted living, private pay. You are going to get booked. Your calendar is going to get filled up fast. with people who want you to come in and speak about this stuff. And then boom, you're the expert. You're the recognized source for these solutions, and you with your company differentiates yourself.
Exactly, guys. There's no need to just keep calling bingo over and over in these places. Come to the table as an expert, as an authority, providing education that people need to know about, not just your referral sources, but all these families too. We have a question from John O'Callan. Do you have a white paper that has all the different options presented here? So many I am ignorant about and would like to do some research. Thank you, great info. John, appreciate the vulnerability, but hopefully this makes you feel better. There's so many people that are not familiar with this topic. So, Chris, is there a white paper that talks about these different options?
Yes, I have numerous white papers that I've published along with books. I have a white paper, pretty easy to follow. And we'll make sure that as a follow-up to this, we'll get you the recording of today's session, a copy of this PowerPoint presentation, and we'll throw that white paper in with it as well for everybody that registered.
Absolutely.
And I also see a question above, when is it too late for an individual to acquire an LTC policy? Typically, you get to the age of 70 and you still haven't gotten a long-term care insurance policy, you're probably aged out. The ideal age range to be buying a long-term care insurance policy in the individual market is between 55 and 65. And if you can get long-term care insurance through as an employee benefit, a group long-term care insurance policy, run, do not walk to getting that policy. That is the cheapest, best way to ever get a long-term care insurance policy. And then once you have it, never let it go.
Chris, that brings up something for me, right? So circling back to life settlements, we need to educate as many people as possible about this funding solution because, Chris, how many people, or just give a general idea, pay for years and years and years into these life insurance policies, but then one day decide, well, the premiums are going up. My kids are doing fine. I can't really afford the premium anymore. And then they just abandon it.
90% of life insurance policy owners will abandon a policy before it ever pays out a death benefit. They will pay premiums for years and then they will let the policy go. So you have 260 million in-force life insurance policies out there today. 90% of those policies are in danger of being abandoned by the policy owner along the way. This then becomes an option, which is one of the biggest, quite frankly, one of the biggest asset classes that are out there you can tap into are people's life insurance policy. You have 7.5 million long-term care insurance policies. You have 260 million life insurance policies.
Mm-hmm.
You want
Think
to be
about it
making sure
this
you're
way.
asking every time.
Think about it this way, everyone. If you decided that you were going to sell your home, right? You don't need it anymore. You don't want it anymore. You don't want to pay the mortgage anymore, whatever it is, right? Do you drop the keys in the driveway and walk away? No, nobody does, right? And it's the same thing. A life insurance policy is an asset, just as the home is the asset. Sell it. Did I say that
And the
right?
older and sicker you are, the higher the payout will be. So the families you're talking to, that's the other thing to point out about all these options: the life settlement, the reverse mortgage, the VA benefit, the senior bridge loan, the true freedom, the annuities that have long-term care riders. Those are all designed for people that are aging. These are like 65 and above products. So the people that you're dealing with who need care now, these are tools to help them pay for that care now.
100%. So we are 6 minutes past our end time. If you guys have certain topics that you want to discuss moving forward, please feel free to send me an email, text, or Chris. We do want to make sure this is customized to what you guys are desiring to learn about, what you think, what you feel will empower you to differentiate yourself and help more people. Now, you know, at Senior Care Sales Solutions, we are all about helping agencies acquire clients. And most of you know my specialty is really in the private pay, right? But we are headed into a time where we need to diversify our approach, right? Yes, absolutely. As an agency, many of you know, focus on the legal financial professionals to be able to get the clients that have money, right, to pay out of pocket, or they have long-term care insurance. But if you really want to grow your agency moving into the future, right, we need to get well versed on these alternative funding solutions. Get those big private pay clients. But if you really want to get more of a volume and more business, specifically from our healthcare referral sources, you've got to start getting educated on these funding options, right? Because a lot of those referrals you get, they're like, I can't fit your minimums. I can't, I can only do 12 hours a week. I can only do 4 short shifts, or they can only do it for a certain amount of time, or they can't afford you at all. Come to the table and be a solutions provider so you can grow your business in a diversified manner. Send us an email. My call to action to you guys. Yes, it's business. We all want to out compete our competitors and get the bulk of the business. There's no shortage of business. So I would encourage you, and my ask is that you share the study group with as many senior care professionals as possible. Because if we're in this for the right reason, it's about helping these seniors and these families. And so the more people that are educated on these funding solutions collectively, the more aging adults we're helping in our society. So thank you very much for your time today. Chris, any final words?
No, that's it. We look forward to next month, and in between now and next month, again, any questions, if you want to set up any time with Sarah or with me to drill down into any of this, if you want to get your hands on any of the toolkit materials, there's brochures, there's videos you can be using. You can all be using these in your practice today. There's really no excuse to wait. There's no need to wait. It's all here for you. The question is just a matter of, are you going to pick it up and use it? If you have a tool in your toolbox, you use it, you're going to do some good things. If you have a tool in your toolbox and you let it sit there, you're not going to do anything.
Absolutely. Good final words, Chris. Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate our continued friendship. And everybody, I hope you go on to have a fantastic week, and we will see you next month. Bye.